This is the Emergency Medical Minute, sponsored by Mile High Ambulance.
Hey EMM, it's Mason here to tell you about an exciting new opportunity we are offering. In an effort to tangibly improve our organization's commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, we created the Diversity and Inclusion Award that fourth-year medical students that identify as underrepresented in medicine and are applying to emergency medicine residencies are eligible to apply for starting today. We understand that the cost of applying to residency adds up, and we want to do what we can to ease that financial burden. We are extending 3 $200 awards to selected individuals following a blinded review of all applications. Applications will be accepted through the end of November, and winners will be announced mid-December. Check out our website at www.emergencymedicalminute.org/EDI-award for all the details and to access the free application, or click the link in our show notes. Thank you.
All right, so let's say I say to you, and you have a new grad with you, and you're going to teach them something about burn. What's like the most common thing that comes to your mind that you're going to tell them? Fluid resuscitation. And so as you regurgitate fluid resuscitation, what are you going to tell them? We give, what formula do we use? Anyone, Bueller? Parkland, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What, ideal body weight times total body surface area times 2?
Close. That's the Brooke. The Parkland's a little bit different. Parkland is 4. Does that ring a bell? I'm glad you said that, though, because I'm glad you heard the number 2. So for decades, everyone said, use the Parkland Formula. It's total body surface area. So let's say the burn is 25% times the weight. Let's say they weigh 100 kilograms times 4. So, and that's the amount of fluid you need to give in 24 hours. You give half of that over 8 hours, the rest over the remaining 16 hours. So everyone knows that. The problem is that's probably not 100% right. This is like a decade ago, in 2008, there was a military study where they looked at burn patients and they said, do we really need to give them that much fluid? Do we really need to make them swell to get well? Because that's sort of a saying in trauma. You go in the trauma ICU and you need to swell to get well. And you look in the trauma ICU and everyone's legs are big and puffy and their face is big and puffy. So you definitely need to give a lot of fluid. But this is a study of severely burned military personnel from, I think it was 2005 to 2008. So they had 105 patients. Half of them got the Parkland Formula. Half of them got half of that dose, so the 2 milliliters times total body surface area times kilograms. And as it turns out, they both did exactly the same. So the idea of giving, and when you do this, sometimes you end up with huge fluid volumes. You'll be saying, I need to give 10 liters over the next 24 hours. And you think, is that good? Yeah, they lose a lot of fluid with burn, but really diluting that much is probably not that wise. You think about with our trauma patients in the olden days, we just kind of gave them like 2 liters, 4 liters, 6 liters down in the ED when they were crashing. Now we kind of do that 1-to-1-to-1 transfusion. So the burn thing is changing. If you look at Burn Society, they still do Parkland. If you do the ATLS guidelines, they're at the Brooke. The Brooke is the 2 instead of the 4. But keep in mind, the guidelines are in flux from 4 to 2. And if they ask you, you can say Parkland is 4, ATLS is 2 if you want to be really anal. But just, I think stepping back and kind of looking at the big picture, you want to look at fluid response. So you kind of put in a Foley, and if they're not making any urine and you've given them the 2, I'd be like, oh, I got to bump it up and give them some more. So, and similarly, if they have like CHF and they're all puffy and swollen, and really it's not that bad, you maybe say, yeah, I shouldn't have given them 4. I should back off a little bit. So the idea is to use your clinical judgment and not necessarily rely on stuff that was passed down from generation to generation. Alrighty.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Health One Continental Division, and Swedish Medical Center for their financial contributions to the EMM. Donations from them and listeners like you make it possible for us to fulfill our mission of producing and spreading free medical education to the masses. If you enjoy our show, please consider making a one-time or recurring donation to help cover our operational costs and keep the EMM awesome. Click on the link in our show notes to make a donation. Thank you for listening.